Now on CoastTV News.
Funding fight finished. How billions of education dollars that were withheld now have a clear path to Delaware.
Ocean vacation slump. We look at an alarming decline for one of the coast's biggest tourist towns.
Pony Prep, the events leading up to the Centennial Chincoteague Pony Swim.
Hot days ahead for Delmarva through midweek with temperatures in the 90s. Feels like temperatures into the triple digits. However, relief as we head into the end of the week. Details coming up.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is Monday, July 28th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we're back together again.
Yes, we are.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and it's hard to believe July is dwindling down. My brother said this weekend, he was like, July was 2 weeks. I said, July felt like it was 2 weeks.
It really does.
Yeah.
We're August at the end of the week.
I know we're almost at the pony swim. I always think the pony swim means like the end of the summer.
In getting ready for the school year, coming from an education family like yourself.
Hard to believe, but the weather is still summer. And Bob's going to tell us a little bit more about that. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Elisa and Matt. I'm glad the band is back together. It is going to be hot as we go through the midweek period. Already pretty warm out the door. 75 to Georgetown, 74 in Gumboro. Bethany Beach up to Rehoboth Beach into the mid to upper 70s. And those dreaded dew points still very muggy out there. Low to mid 70s. That's really not going to change. There is a bit of a northwest breeze because we have a cold front coming through. We have just a few high clouds. Otherwise, a cold front is sweeping through. Unfortunately, behind this front, really not much cooler, not much drier. In fact, it's going to be pretty hot as high pressure builds in from the west with lots of sunshine. We've got heat advisories all around us. We don't have them for Delmarva, but they're up in the Philly, New York area and to our south and west. I don't think the criteria is there today for a heat advisory, but probably Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's Futurecast this morning. Maybe a little bit of haze, temperatures in the mid 70s and quickly in the mid 80s by the mid morning hours. By noon, upper 80s close to 90 inland areas, 70s and 80s at the beaches, and hot into the afternoon, mostly sunny, low 90s, a little bit of relief at the coast, and we're looking at those low 90s right through the evening hours, and feels like temperatures flirting with 100 as we go into the afternoon. Even at the beaches, feeling like 80s and lower 90s. So make sure you have the water and make sure you have a nice cool place to cool off this afternoon. It is a north breeze, but usually a north breeze is cool, not this time with lower 90s. More on this heat wave that extends through midweek. The good news is by the end of the week, we get relief. A big cool down on the way. Forecast details coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, looking forward to that, Bob. And our top story this hour, billions of education dollars getting released, and some of that heading to Delaware. According to the Federal Department of Education, the money was previously withheld as part of a spending review ordered by the White House. That move faced legal challenges, including a lawsuit by Delaware and other states. The money was already approved by Congress and signed into law by President Trump earlier this year.
Governor Matt Meyer is responding to the news in a post to his Facebook page. The governor says, in part, quote, Delaware students and teachers deserve every dollar promised, and today we delivered for them, end quote. And according to Meyer, the state will receive $28 million from this newly released funding.
This just in, and there are some concerning economic numbers for Ocean City, and they are found in a tourism report. The most recent data is through May of this year. Now, when compared to previous years, there is a drop of nearly 250,000 people visiting the town. But according to Tom Perlazzo, the Ocean City Tourism and Business Development Director, he says those numbers from a third party, that's where they come from. And according to their report, revenue for occupancy in Ocean City slightly increased compared to last May.
I don't think that report is 100% accurate. We do feel like that May was a great season, great event this year. We had a great, third concert, the Boardwalk Rock.
Perlazzo tells CoastTV News that he and his team are developing plans to help Ocean City's tourism economy.
Early voting continues today in Sussex County. This is for the District 20 special election. People can head to the polls anytime from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. until the 29th. And from July 30th to August 3rd, early voting will run from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And this will all take place at Lewis Elementary and Mariner Middle Schools. Election day is August 5th with the polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And this is the area we are talking about on your screen right now. It's a map of District 20. That area covers parts of Milton, Lewis, Harbison, and Georgetown.
Officials are continuing to investigate what they call a hazmat incident. This took place in Baltimore. It left at least 4 people hospitalized on Sunday. Fire officials were called to the scene on Wycomico Street at a poultry processing facility. This is shortly before 5 p.m. There were about 100 employees on the scene at the time. 10 people needed medical assistance.
Later tonight, the possible finalization of the pay scale for Milford's fiscal year 2026. The range is from nearly $36,500 to over $228,000. This is happening as we are nearly a month into the new fiscal year. The city manager position is listed at the top of that scale. Tonight's city meeting will take place at 6 o'clock.
Happening today, possible clarity on those power outages in Lewis. The city and the Lewis Board of Public Works, they're set to address the string of those recent power outages BPW residents experienced in June. This meeting is taking place at 1 p.m. at the Margaret H. Rollins Center. The BPW and city are also discussing future goals and projects.
Also happening today in Lewis, a presentation from the 4th Street Preserve. According to the agenda, officials will gather at the City Council meeting to discuss the project. Organizers are expected to deliver a briefing on that topic. Officials will hear a presentation from the Greater Lewis Foundation, and tonight's meeting will take place at 5:30.
Sunday was day 2 of the Pony Roundup. It was another bright and early morning for the Saltwater Cowboys as they rounded up about 100 adult ponies and foals on the northern side of the Assateague into the Northern Corral. Today is the beach walk. That is set to start about an hour from now at 6 a.m. It is where these northern ponies are brought to join the Southern Corral and get ready for the big swim.
And this was Saturday morning when it was the Southern herd's turn for their roundup. The Saltwater Cowboys began near the lighthouse and led the ponies through the woods and marsh into the Southern Corral. Every year this takes place about an hour and a half to complete.
Countdown to the pony swim is on. Chincoteague officials say several roads will close early for the event on Wednesday. Beebe and Bunting roads close at 4 a.m. Willow Street, that's south of Jester, that's at 5 a.m. Ridge Road south of Bunting will shut down 1 hour before the swim, and these closures will remain in place for an extended period, and only bikes and people in that area, pedestrians, will be allowed. And get ready for one of the Eastern Shore's most iconic traditions, the Chincoteague Pony Swim. You can watch live as the Saltwater Cowboys guide the wild ponies across the Assateague Channel to Chincoteague Island. Coverage begins at 7 a.m. this Wednesday on the Delmarva Sports Network and anywhere on DSN+. Don't miss the tradition, the excitement, and the magic of the pony swim, and it's only on DSN.
New this morning, Bridgeville officials are set to review plans for 2026 according to the agenda for the Commission workshop. Officials will review the fiscal year 2026 budget. That will include capital projects and updates. Also on the agenda, discussion on what officials call the 302 Market Street tour. Officials will gather today at 5 o'clock at the Bridgeville Public Library.
And we're now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. President Trump expected to meet the UK Prime Minister today to talk trade. On Sunday, he announced a trade agreement with the European Union that would set tariffs at 15%, ending what had been months of uncertainty surrounding trade with the United States' largest trade partner.
As NBC's Alice Barr shows us what to expect from talks with world leaders today as the August deadlines quickly approach.
After months of tense tariff threats, a highly anticipated deal between top trading partners, the United States, and the 27 nations of the European Union.
It's the biggest of all the deals. Thank you very much.
The agreement reached at President Trump's private club in Scotland sets 15% tariffs on most European goods entering the U.S. The European Commission president emphasizing stability.
It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
She underscored the improvement from the 30% import tax President Trump had threatened while acknowledging it's still a real cost.
15% is not to be underestimated, but it is the best we could get.
The rate does apply to European cars, but there are exceptions, including no tariffs on aircraft parts, certain generic drugs, and some agricultural products. As details are hammered out, no word yet on rates for in-demand European wines. President Trump says the EU will not impose tariffs on U.S. imports and will purchase $750 billion worth of American energy while investing an additional $600 billion into the U.S.
And they're agreeing to purchase a vast amount of military equipment.
It comes ahead of an August 1st deadline when countries that haven't reached a deal will see higher tariffs, forcing U.S. businesses that import materials from abroad to absorb more added costs.
It's a lot to shoulder for small business owners.
Or pass them along to consumers. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And we're just getting started this morning on Coast TV News Today.
Yeah, coming up, summer's sweetest fruit festival. Why one Delmarva business owner says it's important to shop local.
Also, call for better cell service, how connection could improve in Ocean Pines.
And donation tax details, we'll tell you about new IRS changes to charitable donations that are set to go into effect next year. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
5:13 on a muggy and pretty warm Monday morning. Right now, Bay Health Camp 77 in Delaware, getting prepared for a hot day. Out the door, it's warm. 75 in Georgetown and Millsboro, Gumboro 74, Ocean City 77, 76 Rehoboth. So a little milder there, but those ever-present nasty dew points are here, and we're going to be seeing that higher humidity despite a northwest breeze and a cold front coming through. A few clouds, otherwise great visibility out there. Cold front, you would think, well, a refreshing cool air behind it. Well, not the case. It's actually no cool air behind it, really not much drier. It's just going to be sunny, hot, and humid today. Here's your drive cast. I gave you the green light out the door for the morning commute, clear and dry, but then the red light for the PM commute. You're going to have a hot car later on, so really be careful with the handles getting in there, not getting burned. So it's going to be one of those situations, not only today, but through the midweek period. More on that coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
Thank you, Bob. Happening today in Long Neck, Chief Road will be closed starting at 7 a.m. On your screen right now is that stretch of road that will be closed. That's between River Road and Oak Orchard Road. It will last until Thursday, July 31st at 6 p.m. DelDOT crews will complete underground utility work at the intersection of Norwood Drive, including installing new pipes, a manhole, and isolation valves.
Road work also beginning today in Salisbury. The city says traffic signal upgrades will begin at East Main Street and Snow Hill Road, as well as East Main and Ward Street. On your screen now is where crews are working daily, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. throughout August 1st, weather permitting. According to officials, roads will stay open, but flagging operations may cause delays, and drivers are encouraged to use Route 50 or Route 13 to avoid congestion in the work zone.
New tax rules for charitable donations are ahead. Starting next year, how you donate will affect your tax break deductions. Standard deduction filers can write off up to $1,000 in cash gifts, $2,000 for joint filers. That's double the old pandemic-era limit. The new tax rules are set to take effect in 2020.
Animal rescues and shelters across the country are reporting sharp increases in animals being surrendered. A number of shelters say that shift is due to financial hardship. Every aspect of owning a pet, from vet visits and food to beds, treats, and toys, has grown expensive in recent years.
Still ahead on Coast TV News Today, call for better service. We'll tell you what officials are working on to bring better cell service to Ocean Pines.
Another hot day at the beach today. Right now, we're seeing some wispy clouds on the Gateway Subaru camp. A little seagull flying by. 77. We're looking at temperatures soaring through the 90s today through Wednesday, what feels like temperatures in the triple digits. However, relief for the end of the week, looking beautiful heading into next weekend. Your forecast details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 5:18, and you're looking live at a quiet scene in Ocean City on this Monday morning. Some of the lifeguard chairs there, empty for now, Bob, but people are also tracking conditions for that big pony swim on Wednesday.
Yes, and I think the weather will cooperate for the festivities for the big swim at the 100th Chincoteague Pony Swim. Now, I think in the morning when the swim is going on, we'll be looking at temperatures in the 70s. It's in the afternoon, it'll be warm, but still not bad. 87 with sunshine. Of course, you can catch all the action on DSN and DSN Plus on Wednesday, beginning at 7 a.m. The storyline the next few days, hazy, hot, and humid. Stifling heat index, feeling like 100 to 110. More like 100 today and then 110, I think, perhaps by Wednesday, with temperatures low to mid 90s, maybe even some upper 90s. So you know the drill. Stay hydrated, find a nice cool place. Then relief later in the week with the cold front moving through on Thursday. Big cool down, and it will be comfortable into next weekend. It is looking just delightful at that time. But right now, out the door, we're looking at mid 70s, 75 in Georgetown and Milton, 76 in Lewis and Bethany Beach, Willards at 74, and dew point temperatures, once again, anytime you see low to mid 70s, that is some very juicy air. And that's not really going to change. Now, we have a northwesterly breeze. We actually have a cold front sliding through, but the air behind the front, not any really cooler or drier, so we're not going to see a big air mass change. In fact, it's just going to be a hot day as high pressure is building in from the west. But as this high slides offshore the next couple of days, it's going to bring in the heat from the deep south into our neck of the woods. Here's Futurecast this morning. Here's 6:30. We'll pick it up then. Temperatures in the mid 70s, maybe a little bit of haze by mid-morning, quickly through the 80s, and then by noon around 89 in Seaford and Millsboro, 91 in Salisbury. A little bit of relief at the coast with 70s and 80s here, but I think most of us will be into the 80s, even lower 90s from Rehoboth up into Lewis, 91 in Georgetown, maybe as hot as 94 in Salisbury. And then this evening, it's pretty warm, temperatures in the 80s, then falling through the 70s. And then by Tuesday morning, it's a mild start out the door with low 70s. Then we ratchet up those high temperatures a little bit by mid-afternoon on Tuesday into the low to mid 90s from Millsboro to Salisbury, and then 80s and 90s at the beaches. And then moving into Wednesday, I think this could be the hottest day. Now, we could see some clouds in the morning, temperatures in the mid 70s, but it's going to be really hot by the afternoon, around 93 to 95 inland areas, a little bit of relief at the coast, but plenty hot for sure. Feeling like close to 100 this afternoon. Inland areas, and then lower 90s at the beaches. And then as we move into Tuesday, feeling like low to mid 90s at the coast, but 102 to maybe 104 inland areas. Then I think the worst of it comes on Wednesday, at least feeling like 100 to 105, maybe some places feeling as hot as 108 or maybe 110 well inland. And then we're looking at feels like temperatures in the mid 90s as those humidity levels still very high. We're in the very humid range, but look what happens by Friday into Saturday. We get into the comfortable range behind a sharp cold front. And as we start August, it's a big August cool down Friday through next weekend. Lower humidity, dew points in the 50s and 60s, and comfortable and pleasant. It is going to be gorgeous at that time, and we'll definitely need a break in the action by that time. 93 in Seaford, 92 in Laurel today, 90 in Lewis, 91 in Cambridge, Easton 93, Federalsburg 93, and Princess Anne 92, Pocomoke City 92 today, 88 in Ocean City. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. There's the heat, real hot through midweek, and then showers and storms Thursday 88, and then Friday showers 79, upper 70s. Saturday temperatures dipping down into the low 60s by Sunday morning, and then 81 on Sunday. Great looking weekend. Umbrella giveaway winner Janet Kiaida from Marion, Maryland. Congratulations to her from Paul Davis and CoastTV on her brand new umbrella.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Tonight, Ocean Pines answering the call for better cell service. People can learn about a proposal for a new tower that's right in the middle of the community. And here you can see the renderings for the cell tower. The location is at the Ocean Pines Golf Course.
Couldn't text my friends, I couldn't call anybody. So I guess if someone has an emergency, it'd probably be pretty severe.
And the Ocean Pines Virtual Town Hall is scheduled tonight at 6.
And up next on Coast TV News today, summer's sweetest fruit festival will show you all the activities at this year's Peaches by the Beaches Festival in Milton. Don't go anywhere. This weekend, Milton celebrated summer's sweetest fruit at the Peaches by the Beaches Festival. Visitors enjoyed fresh peaches, desserts, and cocktails, along with family fun, including a petting zoo, inflatables, and over 80 vendors. Food trucks lined the streets, and even some dogs found their forever home with on-site adoption.
It turned out to be a nice day. I think everyone got scared for the weather because a couple days ago it was supposed to be like 95 and pure sun, but now it's kind of nice breeze and overcast. Support your local people. we all are trying to do our best, and everyone helping each other makes it go a little bit better, like these events.
And event organizers say they had over 70 vendors and crafters at that event. And if you're heading to the beach today, Bob already said it's going to be hot, so I know that sand is going to be brutal.
Yeah, heads up on the jellyfish too. Yeah. I saw plenty of the little ones
oh my
over
goodness.
the weekend.
Oh, wow.
A little stinging going on.
You got?
Well, just the little inconvenience from the little ones. You know, you don't feel it at the time, and then you come out like, yeah. Probably touched a jellyfish.
Elisa, Matt sems to be really traumatized by these shows.
He does. They follow him. They
it's taking into wave riding,
It just
Bob.
gets a little itchy, Matt.
Yeah, I know. I don't like them.
All right. I heard more that the sand is just really hot. My neighbor, Mike, went to the beach on Friday, said the sand was unbearably hot. So that could be the case again today. Lots of sunshine. Ocean City and Fenwick Island, you're looking at temperatures around 83 in Ocean City, mid-80s in Fenwick Island. UV index is extreme. Rip current threat is low, but swim with a buddy and at guarded beaches. Lewis and Rehoboth, sunshine and temperatures into the mid to upper 80s. Should be a pretty smooth ferry ride with a light north breeze up to Cape May. On the Bayside, 1 foot waves for you, and we're looking at temperatures in the lower 90s in Cambridge this afternoon, and Crisfield upper 80s, but with the humidity, inland areas feeling like close to 100, and then we just ratchet up those temperatures even more the next couple of days. More on the heat and then the eventual relief on the way for the end of the week coming up in the next half hour.
After the break on Coast TV News today, trade talks amid tariff deadlines. What is expected as President Trump meets with world leaders this week? Also, tale of tourism reports, the concern over a visitation slowdown in Ocean City and why there's some pushback on recent data. And funds finally released how Delaware Governor Matt Meyer is responding to federal education funds making their way to the state after a brief holdup in Washington. Coast TV News Today will be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Lack of boardwalk buzz, the data showing a tourism decline in Ocean City and those who are disputing that report.
Classroom Cash, a dispute over federal education dollars ends, the clear path for funding in Delaware, and the reaction from Governor Matt Meyer.
Army Center update. Months after an environmental study, Lewis officials get the latest on converting the old facility into a municipal complex.
Hot days ahead for Delmarva through midweek with temperatures in the 90s. Feels like temperatures into the triple digits. However, relief as we head into the end of the week. Details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
July 28th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensa. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
It's 5:31 a.m. Elisa, you mentioned this at the top of the hour. Again, we are in the final days of July.
I know my mom this weekend, who just retired as a teacher, was like, wow, the summer's going so fast. My brother's like, you're always on summer vacation now, Mom. And she's like, you're right.
Was she about ready to go get stuff for the classroom and
other
things?
I think she's starting to feel like she should be getting ready for something, but she's just in relaxation mode, which is nice. But
I know a guy in relaxation mode.
Oh, always. First meteorologist Bob Trahey, and Bob, those temperatures, they still feel like summer. Summer is not going anywhere, according to that.
Oh, yeah. You know, the months of the days of July might be waning, Lisa and Matt, but the heat will not be. But we have relief as we head into August. More on that coming up a little bit later on. Mid-70s out the door. Georgetown 75, 76 Indian River Inlet, Ocean City 77. Dew point temperatures are tropical-like in the low to mid-70s. It's going to be that kind of a day. Now, the winds are shifting to the northwest and eventually north. Now, we're looking at mostly clear skies. We actually have a cold front moving through, but it's weak. Really no air mass change ahead or behind it. Not looking at cooler and drier air. So, in fact, it's going to be a hot day as high pressure to our west ridges in, and we're going to be looking at very warm to hot conditions. We do have heat advisories to our south and west and northeast from Philly to New York. We don't quite fit that criteria over us because heat index values will be below 100, but I think that changes Tuesday and Wednesday. Could see a little bit of haze early on this morning, and then it's a quick warm up in temperatures mid-morning into the mid-80s, upper 80s, close to 90 by 11:30, and then a little bit of relief at the coast, but watch for that hot sand once again. 80s and lower 90s Rehoboth to Lewis by 2:30, 92 in Millsboro and Delmar, and low 90s inland, 80s and 90s at the coast. Feels like temperatures close to 100 away from the beaches, but at the beaches even feeling like low 90s there. If you're going for a run, I would do it early because that's when it's going to be the coolest, in the 70s through early this morning. Light winds, dry conditions, really good conditions for a jog, and then getting pretty warm by noon, upper 80s and then 90s. Not only today, but right through the middle of the week, with relief as we head into early August. More on that coming up a little bit later on.
Our top story this half hour, billions in education funding are being released, with some of it heading to Delaware. According to the Federal Department of Education, the agency is releasing billions in previously withheld grant money. The money was frozen on July 1st as a part of a spending review ordered by the White House. That move faced legal challenges, including a lawsuit Delaware and other states filed against it. The funding had already been approved by Congress and signed into law by President Trump earlier this year.
Governor Matt Meyer is responding to the news in a post to his Facebook page. Governor says, in part, quote, "Delaware students and teachers deserve every dollar promised, and we delivered for them," end quote. According to Meyer, the state will receive $28 million from this newly released funding.
Here's a live look at Ocean City on this Monday morning. And for this Worcester County coastal town, there are just a couple of weeks left in the busy tourism season. And new this morning, there are some concerning economic numbers for Ocean City, and they're found in a tourism report. The most recent data is through May of this year. Now, when compared to previous years, there is a drop in nearly 250,000 people visiting the town. But according to Tom Berlazzo, the Ocean City Tourism and Business Development Director, he says those numbers come from a third party. And according to their report, revenue for occupancy in town slightly increased compared to last May.
I don't think that report is 100% accurate. We do feel like that May was a great season, great event this year. We had a great, third concert, the Boardwalk Rock.
And Perlazzo tells CoastTV News that he and his team are developing plans to help Ocean City's tourism economy.
This just in. Strong storms moved through parts of Minnesota over the weekend, causing flooding in several areas. A flash flood warning was issued for parts of the state, which remains in effect until later this morning. Officials say thousands were left without power. Streets became flooded, causing difficulty for motorists in some areas.
Later tonight, the possible finalization of the pay scale for Milford's fiscal year 2026. The range is nearly $36,500 to over $228,000. This is happening as we are nearly a month into the new fiscal year. The city manager position is listed at the top of that scale. Tonight's city meeting will take place at 6 o'clock.
Happening today, we should learn more about the city of Lewis's plans for converting the old Army Center on Savannah Road into a municipal complex. In the spring, the city completed phase 1 of an environmental study. That was a test for contamination and hazardous materials. What we do know is that the building will serve as a combined complex for the city, the police, and the Board of Public Works. The board and other city officials are expected to receive an update on the project at a meeting set for 1 p.m. today.
And also happening at that meeting, addressing the string of power outages by BPW that residents experienced in June. The BPW and city are also discussing future goals and projects. This will take place at the Margaret H. Rollins Center.
And we're now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. Today, the Trump administration holding talks with two countries ahead of trade deadlines early next month. This includes meetings with the UK Prime Minister in Scotland. The White House says they'll refine a trade deal outlined, they say, signed last month. And the European Union countries are considering whether to approve a framework Trump and the EU Commission president unveiled yesterday.
I don't think the countries that are not going to go along with this are going to have a choice, because they're between Iraq and Donald Trump.
Analysts say the agreements are giving U.S. businesses clarity about how much money they'll have to spend on tariffs. And we have a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, ducking off to Crisfield, we'll tell you how Mother Nature has no match for the annual Big Little Town Fest.
Also, battle in the Bronx. Phillies attempt to come back and a series sweep against the Yankees.
And beginner's luck, we'll tell you how one local's first offshore fishing trip turned into a new state record. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
5:40 on our Monday morning. Sunrise at 5:59, and Bayhealth Cam and Dover showing clear skies. 77 right now out the door. Mid-70s for the most part. 77 Ocean City, Lewis 76, Millsboro 75, and dew point temperatures in that sticky range in the 70s. It's going to be a hot and humid day, although winds are shifting to the north behind a weak cold front. Usually behind a cold front it's cooler and drier, but that's not going to be the case today. But it will be sunny and pretty hot, and then it's getting hotter in the days to come. Here's your golf forecast. Not bad, not perfect, not a perfect putt, just missed. 93, hot and humid on the golf course. Make sure you have plenty of water. Feels like temperatures away from the coast near 100. At the beach is feeling like low 90s. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone for your latest forecast. Sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
New this morning, nighttime closures are underway on Route 1 in Sussex County. According to DelDOT, crews are working on bridge inspections now until July 30th. This includes the bridges over the Mississippi River and the Lewis-Rehoboth Canal. The agency says to expect overnight lane closures from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
And changes are occurring on the Georgetown Lewis Trail. The flashing pedestrian crossing sign on Sweetbriar Road is now converted to a standard push button. DelDOT advises trail users to push the button to activate the system and wait for a safe window to cross Sweetbriar Road. There are reminders along the trail in case you forget.
A new Maryland state record has been set for false albacore. Maryland DNR announced that Jack Dorman of Mount Airy is the new state record holder for false albacore. He was fishing off of Ocean City on a charter boat, and it was Dorman's first offshore fishing trip. His 26-pound catch surpasses the previous record of 23.5 pounds that was set just 8 days prior. Maryland's DNR says that previous catch broke a 30-year record.
Phillies began Sunday just a half game behind the New York Mets in the National League East. The Phils had the brooms out in the Big Apple, attempting to sweep their series against the New York Yankees. Philly fans on hand Sunday afternoon. They got to cheer early. Second inning, Nick Castellanos takes that Carlos Rodon pitch for a ride. Big fly for Nick, and the Phillies grab a 1-0 lead. Lead did not last. Bottom of the frame. No out, bases loaded. Ryan McMahon goes down the right field line. Giancarlo Stanton scores. Jazz Chisholm Jr. scores. Yankees get 4 in this inning. It's a 4-3 game in the ninth, and Otto Kemp goes down swinging, and that's the ball game. No sweep for the Phillies. They remain in second place in the National League East, and that deficit is now a game and a half. Big game for the Nationals. C.J. Abrams, a leadoff homer, 3 stolen bases. Nats take 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Tyler O'Neill homered for a 3rd straight game. Orioles get a series win at the Yards against the Rockies. NASCAR race at the Brickyard 400, won by Bubba Wallace. This one is one of the marquee races on the schedule. Wallace drives for a team co-owned by all-time NBA great Michael Jordan and fellow driver Denny Hamlin. It is the 3rd win in Wallace's career and earns him a spot in the playoffs. And coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, 6:15, we have live Maryland Supreme Basketball League, boys basketball on that one. And then at 10:15, it is the final score on DSM Plus. Along with that basketball game at 3, you can catch the USSSA Eastern National Softball Championships.
In entertainment news, the death of a heavy metal legend is not keeping him off the music charts. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Ozzy Osbourne fans are keeping his legacy alive. Osbourne died July 22nd at age 76. Now his 2003 compilation album, The Essential Ozzy Osbourne, has risen from number 134 on the Billboard 200 all the way to number 7. It's his 10th top 10 album and the first time that record has cracked the top 10. Its previous peak was number 81.
Really good. Yeah, almost as good as a man.
A Bend It Like Beckham sequel is in the works. Deadline reports writer-director Gurinder Chadha says she's been toying with the idea for a couple of years as the popularity of women's football has soared worldwide, and she's excited to revisit the original characters and build on the film's legacy.
I tried to show him that wealth wouldn't solve all his problems.
And?
It seems to have solved most of his problems.
Keanu Reeves is an angel whose object lesson goes awry in Good Fortune. Writer-director Aziz Ansari is a struggling gig worker who switches places with a venture capitalist played by Seth Rogen. Good Fortune arrives in theaters October 17th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
If you are having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at coasttv.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
We're awaiting sunrise. It's up at 5:59 and looking to the east, beautiful on the Gateway Subaru Cam. Just a few clouds out there. We've got some hot days ahead for Delmarva. 90s through Wednesday. Feels like temperatures in the triple digits. However, relief at the end of the way and a gorgeous start to the month of August. I'll have your forecast details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Taking a live look outside at Salisbury on this Monday morning, and Bob, we are talking about some hot temperatures for early this week, and we were talking about summer's dwindling down, but you can still enjoy the heat, that's for sure.
Absolutely, Elisa. But you know, this isn't our first rodeo. You know, we've been down the road already. I believe it was the very beginning of June where we had those 4 days of 100-degree heat. So it's not going to be as hot this go around, but still pretty hot today through Wednesday. Hazy, hot, and humid with the stifling heat index around 100 today, maybe as high as 110 by Wednesday. Actual temperatures low 90s today and then mid to maybe upper 90s by Wednesday. And you want to stay hydrated, find a nice cool spot. You probably know the drill by now. And then late week, it gets stormy. Cold front moves through on Thursday with a big cool down and then comfortable for the first weekend of August. You're going to love this forecast as we go down the road. 74 in Seaford now in Salisbury. Millsboro 75, Ocean City 77, Rehoboth at 76, and dew point temperatures. Once again, anytime you see low to mid 70s, that is very juicy air, and that's going to continue today. Even though the winds are turning to the north, we actually have a weak cold front sliding through, and typically behind a cold front, it's cooler, it's drier, but not this time around. As that front moves through, really no air mass change ahead of the front and behind it. As high pressure is building in from the west, it's just going to get hotter in the days ahead as high pressure builds both at the surface and aloft. So here's Futurecast this morning. Maybe a little bit of haze out there. Temperatures in the mid 70s, but a quick warm up into the low to mid 80s away from the beaches by 9 a.m. 70s and 80s at the coast, and by noon we're already up to 91 in Salisbury, 89 in Selbyville, 90 in Long Neck, but 78 in Dewey Beach, 87 in Lewis. And I think most beach locations 80s and low 90s later this afternoon. I think it's going to be a little warmer than 78 in Dewey Beach, but lower 90s inland areas, and pretty warm as we go through the evening hours, and then overnight it's clear, and by the morning hours we're in the low 70s, and then Tuesday we ratchet up that heat a little more, low to mid 90s inland areas, and then 70s, 80s, even low 90s in Lewis, and then we ratchet up that heat even more into Wednesday with some clouds starting out in the mid 70s and then topping out as high as mid 90s well inland on Wednesday, and a little bit of relief at the coast and pretty warm into Wednesday evening. Feeling like close to 100 away from the beaches today, and 80s and low 90s at the coast. Then tomorrow feeling as hot as about 104 perhaps away from the coast, low to mid 90s at the beaches. And then I think Wednesday is the hottest, at least feeling like 105 in places, maybe 108, and then feeling like mid 90s. But there is relief on the way. Not the next few days. Here's a muggy meter, very humid as we go through the end of the week, and then it drops off. Look at this. We've got dew points in the upper 50s by Friday into Saturday. Very comfortable air building in. But before then, we will see showers and storms developing, I think, later Thursday into Friday. This might be a slow mover, so maybe lingering showers for parts of our area through Friday evening, and then beautiful conditions heading into the weekend with high pressure, low humidity, dew points in the 50s and 60s, comfortable and pleasant. 93 in Harrington today, 90 in Lewis, 86 in Rehoboth, hot and humid, Cambridge 91, 92 in Vienna. Salisbury, you'll see a high around 93, but 88 in Ocean City. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, hot through Wednesday with mid 90s, and then 88 with some storms on Thursday, and then 79 Friday, some showers, and then gorgeous for the weekend. 78 Saturday, 81 Sunday, and comfortable 60s overnight.
Thanks, Bob. Check this one out. The world's largest rubber duck is quacking again in Crisfield. The Big Little Town Fest returned to Wellington Beach this week. It's a summer staple that brings food, music, and families from across the region. And the star of the show, a 61-foot tall rubber duck, was finally inflated Saturday after strong winds prevented setup before the festival on Friday. And event organizers say they're excited people got to see their fan favorite.
This year we got the duck back, and everyone just loves this duck. So we knew that today was going to be a perfect day. So it's been up right at 10 o'clock, so everyone's been coming in. So yeah, it's just Mother Nature wins all the time, you know. But hopefully Sunday's supposed to be just as nice. So we're having a big beach party down there. So Sunday's a big family day too, so come on down for that too.
Yeah, important to note the Big Little Town Fest is hosted by the Friends of Crisfield.
It is 5:52, and it's time to check in with our Coastal Pet of the Day.
And today's Coastal Pet of the Day, a frequent friend of ours, Benny. You can see Benny's embracing the heat we experienced recently. Yeah. He's just trying to stay cool, aren't we all? As always, Benny was submitted to us by Tammy in Seaford.
And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
Yeah, scan that QR code at the top to get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays, 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
Millions of dollars designated for state and local vaccination programs have been slashed. That's according to a review of the Department of Health and Human Services financial agreements. Officials with those programs say the reduced funding will likely force cuts to staffing and services and potentially result in lower vaccination rates. Much of the money states spend on vaccination programs comes from the federal government, and an HHS spokesperson says the agency has been working on cost-cutting efforts.
Living in hot places just doesn't make your skin age faster. It does it to your entire body. That's according to a new study that found extreme heat makes you age more quickly. Researchers looked at more than 3,600 people over 55 years old. They found people who experienced at least 140 days of a heat index over 90 degrees aged up to 14 months faster than those who only experienced 10 such days per year. Accelerated biological aging increases the risk of cancer, dementia, diabetes, and early death.
How do you feel about that, Matt? You love the heat.
Yeah, I know. I was reading this, and I'm like...
Our producer just said this is why sunscreen is important. Yeah. Yes.
Look, I use sunscreen.
Okay, so we're in the mid-90s the next couple of days and feeling like 100 and whatever.
That report was a little concerning, Bob.
Am I going to age like 10 years in 3 days? I hope not, but, you know, be careful, you know, common sense, stay out of the sun. If you're in the sun, the higher SPF sunscreen, lots of water, and find a nice cool place. As we're getting hot today, into the low 90s despite a northerly breeze and a cold front coming through. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 93 today, mid-90s Tuesday through Wednesday. Feeling as hot as 105, maybe 110 by Wednesday, but relief with showers and storms Thursday, 88, and Friday, August. Starts cooler, 79 with some showers. First weekend of August looks great. 78 Saturday, 81 Sunday, and looking still pretty good as we go into early next week.
Yeah, I'm a fan of great, so thanks, Bob. Coming up in our next hour, Ocean City slowdown, the tourism trend that has some concern in the beach town. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.